So now we can get to the matter at hand, which is the Gazette 2339/31. You are excused, Mr. Secretary. Hari. Hari, කවුද මේක මේ අපිට ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නේ? කවුද ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නේ?
To the regulation chairman, sir.
මේක ආයෝජන ප්‍රවාර්ධ අමාත්‍යාංශයේ රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්මයාගේ අත්සනින් තියෙන. ඒතකොට කවුද මේක ඕගොල්ලෝ කමිෂන් එකේ ඉන්නේ? අමාත්‍යාංශය අමාත්‍ය ලේකම්ට යන්න ඕනේ කියලා ගියා. අමත ජනාධිපතිතුමා හම් වෙන තියනවා කියලා. කවුද අමාත්‍යාංශය මේක ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නේ?
Regulation.
කවුද අමාත්‍යාංශයෙන් ඉන්නේ? කවුරු හරි මේක අපිට විස්තර කරන්න මොකද ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නේ කවුද?
Is it okay if I use Sinhala language?
Yes, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Right, thank you. ශ්‍රී ලංකා ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රීය සමාජවාදී ජනරාජයේ ගැසට් පත්‍රයේ අතිවිශේෂ අංක 23/39/31. මේ 2023 ජූලි 7 වෙනිදා ගැසට් කරේ. ඒකේ අපේ තියෙනවා 2020 අංක 11 දරන කොළඹ වරාය නගරයේ ආර්ථික කමිෂන් සභා පනත. මේ පනත යටතේ 2020 අංක 11 දරන කොළඹ වරාය නගර ආර්ථික කමිෂන් සභා පනතේ 27 36 37 39 40 සහ 64 වන වගන්ති සමග කියවිය යුතු ඒ පනතේ 71 වන වගන්ති යටතේ කොළඹ වරාය නගරයේ ආර්ථික කමිෂන් සභාව සහ අදාළ නියාමන ආර්ථික අධිකාරීන් විමසා ආයෝජන ප්‍රවර්ධන අමාත්‍යවරයා විසින් සාදන ලද නියෝග එක තියෙනවා මෙම
අපිට මේ ගැසට් එක කියවන්න අපිට තේරෙනවා. පැහැදිලි කරන්න.
මේ මොකද්ද මේකේ අරමුණ කියලා ඒකයි ඕනේ. නැතු මේ කොලේ අපිට තියෙනවා.
දැන් මේ අපේ කමිටුවේ සමාජිකයන්ට අපි කරපු ඇසෙස්මන්ට් එක තියෙනවා. හරි එහෙම නෙමෙයි. අපේ ඇසෙස්මන්ට් එක නෙමෙයි. ඕගොල්ලෝ කරුණා කරලා කියන්නේ ඇයි මොකද්ද මේ අවස්ථාව?
සභාපතිතුමා කමිෂන් එක දන්නේ නැති. කමිෂන් එකට දුන්නා නම් අර ඒක.
Does the commission representative
Yes, may I?
So can you help?
Yes. So the act calls for passing of certain regulations. Section 71 of the act
Yes.
specifies that with the minister may pass certain regulations to enable business or operations, operationalize the port city. This gazette, he is specifying, as stated in the first paragraph, it is passing regulations in relation under sections as empowered under section 71 in relation to sections 27, 36, 37, and so there are no change to enable business activities actually start and commence. There is no changes to the act. There is no changes to the provisions of the act as detailed in the act, which allows for regulations to be passed. That is what is happening in this gazette.
Yeah. Now, original, of course, we do not know. Watertight situations are very difficult.
Yep.
We have an original gazette. When we start operating, we realize certain edges had to be either loosened or tightened, right? So that's the operational process.
Yep.
So then we bring it here.
Correct.
And we say, okay, can you kindly add these things? But we as a committee must have the rationale. No, the original one is this. These are the difficult areas. Therefore, if you go like this, we can't meet our 5 billion target. Therefore, we are asking the Commission to allow us to expand this area in order to, within the third year, we will reach our targets.
That's
So
clear.
there is no rational paper like
So-
that. Only the gazette is with us.
So if it's the document is a 2-page document which is self-explanatory. If I can go through that,
The one that you are raised?
regulations that are calling, the regulations that are being passed
Okay,
are addressing.
This one, right?
No, and I also gave a little presentation today, but if I can quickly, if you
Yeah.
permit me to go through
Yeah.
the regulations that,
No, the presentation was given.
Just
Can
given
we-
this
their
one.
hand-
Just-
this-
Yeah, but before I,
distributed. If you want, I
You
can
want to, Mr. Vikramasuri, you want to go through the presentation first? Would that help?
yeah, yes, if I can quickly elaborate, the regulations are being passed to facilitate and give guidance on how dividends, when dividends are received, when a business is operational and dividends are received by the shareholders of the business, how those dividends would be treated, right? How, what type of accounts it goes into. Then there are provisions or regulations for converting of Sri Lankan rupees, because there are, yes, there are 3 instances, specifically there are 3 instances where authorized persons or these activities may generate Sri Lankan rupees, and how those Sri Lankan rupees should be placed in bank accounts and then converted, if so, into foreign currency. Then there is a regulation on how businesses are done with Sri Lankan citizens or residents in Sri Lanka, right?
To my knowledge, now these transactions, these conversions, do they go through the central bank procedure? Are they covered by Sri Lankan central bank
If,
laws?
yes, all rupees that are collected, because it sits within a bank account in Sri Lanka, Sri Lankan rupees, and that is provided here clearly that any rupees that are collected have to sit with a licensed commercial bank. Those rupees would be bound by the regulations under the applicable to that commercial bank passed by the central bank.
Okay, also raise a question. Now, these operators who are already here on ground, on the beach or inland,
Okay.
10 of them minus 2 who are not operating, they operate in rupees, as I heard you saying.
That's correct.
So do they come under this?
No.
Okay.
They are not authorized
people.
persons.
Yeah, authorized, yeah.
They are not authorized.
They are normal businesses in Sri Lanka. They pay their taxes, corporate taxes, VATs, whatever.
But can I also know what is the difference between now, let's say, a company operating within Colombo city who's into the same type of transaction also can convert their rupees into dollars?
Not at all, sir.
Not at all.
Not at all.
So this is a special permission that's given to those who are operating businesses within the
licensed under the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Act under section 27, right, and issued a license, considered an offshore company if it is a company, and operating as per those rules and regulations. How
that's
they
a
can,
preference, that's a preference that's given to the companies operating within the zone.
in that special economic zone, absolutely correct, sir. So if I can continue, the other 2 or 3 regulations that are addressed in this gazette is how you would transfer marketable land which is paid for in Sri Lankan rupees. What happens if somebody, because the Act provides for Sri Lankans to purchase or lease land and pay for it in Sri Lankan rupees. What happens if that land, let's say within a period of 5 years, is sold for in US dollars, right? What happens to those dollars, right? It calls for those dollars and how those dollars are treated. The next is the retail facilities, right? And when you say retail, the Act specifies restaurants, cinemas, parking, etc. How those businesses, again, those businesses as per the Act are mandated to offer their services and goods in Sri Lankan rupees. What do they do with those Sri Lankan rupees? Again, the Act calls for those rupees to be sitting with a rupee bank account with a commercial bank in Sri Lanka. And then the final regulation speaks for what are called interim measures, again, which the Act allows a business to operate outside of the area of authority of the Colombo Port City, that is the 269 hectares, until the 26th of May 2026, and avail itself to any benefits or provisions given under the Act.
So the licenses given already will come within that.
the licenses given already under the Act, and that excludes the leisure activities that this committee discussed at the beginning of this. So those are not authorized persons and they're not empowered under the Act. So none of them will fall under this
None of those
regulation.
will fall.